Here I am on my full moon video. I just took down the full moon video I made as the full moon began. Today's September 1st. Full moon. I'm making my full moon video. I took down a video I put up on YouTube because people are harassing some of my acquaintances, people I really know, over a video I put up, and that those people don't deserve to be harassed, and people are interjecting their own thoughts into videos and doing other people's inventory, using my videos to do it. So I want to make it perfectly clear. I just got off the phone with my acquaintance, Judyth Vary Baker, and she and I, we're both working towards the same end goal. As I know Lee Harvey Oswald didn't murder the Kennedys, John F. Kennedy. I don't think it, I know it. And I'm living proof of that. And Judyth Vary Baker knows that he didn't murder JFK also. She's working at her books and telling her truth, and I'm working at my truth and my biography in my books. And I'm an intricate part of that story of President Kennedy and his brother's murders. I'm an intricate part of 5 murders of the Kennedy family. And there's no lie in this. Now Judyth Vary Baker, I'm sorry, Judyth. I always want to say it like it's spelled. It's Judyth Vary Baker, and I'm the Baker family. She was married into my family, the Baker family, Gardner family, Harris family, I believe. And she and I really know each other. And we both know that Lee Harvey Oswald did not kill JFK. So I got Greg Bow here.
How you doing, Hugh?
Good, Greg. We wanted to talk about some things. I had Greg remove his video from last night because people are misconstruing it and actually threatening my friends, my acquaintances, with my videos, and that's not my intention. So, and
I just want to make it clear, Hugh, that I'm more than happy to take down a video that's being used improperly and being misunderstood. I completely understand that Lee was set up, and of course, our intention was just thinking that the CIA was manipulating people, not that, not in any way trying to say that she wasn't telling the truth to the best of her knowledge. We do believe that Judyth Vary Baker is saying what she knows to the best of her ability.
Yeah, she believes in God just like you and I, and she says truth, and she's seeking to say that truth. And she and I both have had people lie to us for our entire lives. We've both been victims of a attempted murder, and our stories run parallel to each other in many ways. And I really do talk to people like Sophia Stewart and John Wells, and Jim Mars was starting to write my book. He was researching the theft of bottom line in my IRS tax licenses. And Jim Mars was Miss Baker's good friend. So anybody out there wants to use my videos to harass Miss Baker, that's not my intention. And
there's really something wrong with anybody that would intentionally do that.
Yeah, I agree, Greg. And I want to introduce Greg. Greg, you went to a Baptist college. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I don't claim it anymore, but yeah, I did.
Yeah, you're an educated man from a Baptist college, correct?
Correct.
Did you get your degree?
I did.
Okay, so now you've been researching my story and my documents, and you find that they parallel a lot of the information from Judyth Baker and Robert Tosh Plumley and Jim Mars, his speeches. And I really knew Jim Mars. I was put in the hospital and almost died on the very day that Jim Mars, I believe, was murdered. And I don't think he was murdered. I know he was murdered. And I'm looking for help to tell the truth of who really killed the Kennedy family. And it was not Lee Harvey Oswald. The people that harassed his girlfriend, Judyth Baker, you're way out of line. Lee Harvey was a patsy for the people who kidnapped me after Admiral Byrd was murdered. And I don't think this, it's not a theory. I have lived it. And Admiral Byrd was my family member, and Gerald Ford is my family member, and Frank Sinatra is my family member. And you know these things, Greg. You've researched this, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
And you have hundreds of pages of notes, and you have my real documents, and you know every word I say is truth, correct?
Hugh, I have searched everything high and low that I can possibly find, and I continually, every day, it blows my mind what I continue to find and how history just continually backs up everything that you're telling me.
But they don't mention I exist.
It's unbelievable to me that you were just absolutely amazing that you were detained for Hoffa's murder on the night that he disappeared. And not once has the media beat a path to your door or even gave you a phone call so much to find out what happened. That to me is astonishing.
It's a one big cover up, and it goes all the way back to 57 when Admiral Byrd was murdered, and then kids for 20 years were dismembered and murdered and thrown on my property. And those same people doing those killings in Oakland County are the people who really planned and killed the Kennedys.
Yeah.
And I know Lee Harvey Oswald did not do that.
Right. You mentioned...
is that a good book you're reading there?
Yeah, you mentioned Byrd there, and she talks about Byrd here too. Byrd's your Admiral Byrd that supposedly found the hollow earth, which is baloney. But, she mentions that Byrd owned the depository where supposedly Lee shot Kennedy, which, we don't believe. But that's, she mentions him too. Here.
I have never read Judyth's books, and like me, she remained silent for about 30 years before she wrote them. And she's telling her truth. And for somebody to harass her with my videos that parallel her life, and I'm the Baker family also. Is that correct, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely. Your family owned the college property that Baker College bought, the Christian college up in Michigan.
That's correct, Hugh Street, and I'm Hugh. And that was all done pre-Kennedy being murdered. And then when Kennedy was murdered, they replaced John Fitzgerald High School with Hazel Park High School on Hughes Street, the street that my family owned, next door to Baker College.
And right there in the town where you grew up there, all the streets run north and south, and they're named after presidents, but two of the streets run east and west. And the one is Lincoln, and the second one, before he was killed, was called Fitzgerald Street. Absolutely amazing that they planned this out even before he died.
Yeah, so then the Fitzgerald family, after the Paul family, was my business manager at my stolen trademark Bottom Line. I had gone to Weiner and Associates to protect my trademark, and they did just the opposite. They sold me out to the Russian mafia in New York.
That's the same Weiner that was taking pictures of his parts and texting it to young ladies, and senator, I think he went to jail. Was he a senator?
I believe it was the same law firm.
Mm-hmm.
Next to Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler's house on Telegraph Road. It was Weiner and Associates I went to. It's funny how the government always parallels my life, but I don't exist.
Yeah, repeatedly.
I and Judyth Baker have a lot of people in our lives that parallel the Kennedy and Oswald story. Like I was kidnapped by Osborn, and Osborn was Oswald's bunkmate. And
Right, OS, because Oswald and Osborn both start with OS.
correct.
So they were
Correct.
together in the same bunk.
Yes, that's correct. So I haven't read any of Miss Baker's books on purpose because I don't want to repeat her story or misrepresent her or her friends and how they affected my life. Like she met Jesse Ventura a few years back, and in my life, Jesse Ventura, he helped steal my trademark Bottom Line back in the 60s. And this is my truth. Her truth is Jesse Ventura has been her friend. And this in no way means that Judyth Baker did anything wrong by allowing Jesse Ventura to talk to her on his radio or TV show, or just simply to say hi and get to know her. That has absolutely nothing to do with Jesse Ventura and DuPont and Hulk Hogan and Steve Austin stealing my trademark. It's just interesting that these people have kept me covered up my entire life, and I'm not allowed to speak. And this is going on 7 decades. And you know, Greg, they murdered little kids on my family's properties and murdered 4 of my wives in the past 7 decades, hiding me from all media.
Yeah, in your story, the WWE and WWF play a pretty big role in covering up the theft of Bottom Line. That's why they create the Bottom Line events, and Stone Cold Steve Austin says, and that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
They used me from birth. That's correct.
And why you had Hulk Hogan and Savage, and they were fighting the Twin Towers 12 years before 9/11 back in 89, and they're saying and the towers will come crumbling down, you know, making a prediction. They obviously knew and were planning what was going to happen. So the WWE's had this big part. And it's interesting that you mentioned DuPont, Hugh, because right here in the town I'm in, DuPont owns a really big factory, and it's also the place where the wrestlers have come down to make a movie called Wrestlers versus Zombies, I think it was called. I never actually watched it, but I think it had Roddy Piper in it, and it's interesting that they would choose right here, and I just suspect it has something to do with DuPont.
Yeah, they stole my trademark and my birth name, and these things they were done to me. I'm living proof of it. I own Bottom Line New York all my life. I'm an ASCAP BMI publisher. In Canada, I'm with Astra, and in London, I use Stationers Hall. And most people don't even know, wouldn't even know the names of those businesses to say my truth. You know, so anybody that looks into me will realize I'm a real ASCAP publisher, and my family was writing the songs Elvis Presley was singing in his first movies back in the 50s when he got his start in Hollywood.
Sure, and you knew his publisher, B.B. Bourne, and that sort of ties into the movie The Bourne Conspiracy, if you want to elaborate on that at all.
His original publisher was Miss Bourne's father, and when he died, she inherited it. And I would go to publishers' meetings, and Miss Bourne, very nice lady. She and Mr. Mills would meet with me, and Morton Gould, and they were trying to help me. They offered me music contracts.
Most people don't know these names, but nowadays, but these are big publishers' names.
Yeah, the Mills brothers, they were real big back in the 30s, even before when I was just a little kid when they were publishing and making movies with the Rat Pack and Frank Sinatra. And when I was in New York with B.B. Bourne, Dee Snider was there of Twisted Sister, but Twisted Sister on the radio and TV didn't exist yet. He was a member of ASCAP, and we stood in line for the meeting to open, talked, and this was when Dee Snider was a young kid. Miss Bourne was there, she sat down and talked to me for a half an hour or so. We had dinner together. And she introduced me to my own family, Stanley Mills. I had never met him. I was born in Detroit. The Mills family are my own family members. And then, so for me, it was a nice day, but it didn't turn out to be a nice day for the rest of the world. 9/11, when after my trademark and name were stolen worldwide, my federal publishing license from Foley Federal Court and my entertainment contracts from Fox were stolen. All of that was covered up. I had a civil rights case in the Pentagon because the FBI had detained me for Jimmy Hoffa's disappearance. I had FBI records they destroyed in Building 7 for various reasons. My family is also Schwartz Video in New York, which was the biggest video distributor in New York back in the 20s and 30s before I was born. They distributed people like Charlie Chaplin and the silent films. And then they went into talkies. But then when my grandfather died, I no longer had that connection, and I became a publisher myself. And I created the word bottom line, and then my own school in Warren, Michigan. The Webster family funded my schools. And Webster took my trademark and put it in his dictionary after it was stolen by the WWF, which had to change their name to the WWE. At the same time, they stole my trademark and murdered me. I was murdered at that time. I lived through the hit on my life, and it took me a while to recover, and then all my money was stolen. My attorney was murdered. And then my judge was murdered, and then my daughter was kidnapped, and I couldn't protect myself because I was a single father, raising a little boy and a little girl who were being kidnapped off their bus, and then the government was running an illegal drug and gun trade off of my property that I stopped. Once I became aware of the CIA doing that, I put an end to it. And the world got a lie from white boy Rick and the FBI, like they have so many lies from the FBI, that kidnapped me at birth. I was kidnapped by and tortured by my country's CIA.
And you and Baker have both experienced a lot of that sort of persecutions and poisonings and that sort of thing. They've really come after both of you.
In the past, yes. Miss Baker, she's put that behind her because I don't have anyone in jail for the murders of the kids or the murders of my wives or the kidnap of my daughter and things like this. I still talk about it, and I have an open murder case. So I still talk about those things, whereas Miss Baker, as a rule, she doesn't. She's gone on with her life. Sometimes she thinks I'm depressed and I'm not letting the past go, but if I am silent about the murders of children, then these people murder more children. So I can't afford to be silent because I'm tired of the murders of children.
Right. And one thing we want to express is that finding the truth is what we're most about. We're not here to make a bunch of money or anything like that. We most importantly want the truth known and told and spread. And that's our bottom line. Our bottom line is not money. Our bottom line is telling the truth and fighting the people that are the CIA liars and the manipulators and those covering the truth and those who are torturing kids and killing people. Those are the people we want to stop.
That's correct. And I name names like Osborn kidnapped me with the Hall family.
Yeah.
And the Anderson family. And these people, this was all covered up by the Oakland Sheriff's Department for 7 decades now. I'm tired of it. I even made a 6,000-mile trip back to Oakland County, and before L. Brooks Patterson died, and tried to make out another report. The police, they use fake badge numbers, fake names, and they make they call dismembered bodies natural causes or suicides, and this is ridiculous. And they've done this in my life for 7 decades. And these same people covered up the truth of who really murdered the Kennedys. And I am that truth. And Lee Harvey Oswald was not the person who killed the Kennedys. And I worked in the book building with Mr. Vargas, who airbrushed Marilyn Monroe and Hugh Hefner's magazine. And I worked for the Morrison Company, and on and on and on. The Byrd family owned the book building. I worked at the book building. I'm just really, really, really tired of the cover-up in my life. And I don't want this used to put Judyth Baker down, because Judyth Baker is telling her truth, which parallels my truth. And I know that the very people that framed Lee Oswald were my neighbors, the very same people. And I don't think it. I can go through the Warren Report, and I know all the people in the Warren Report. And then my history teacher was Mr. Garrison. I bought the Manning Ranch. 2 of my wives were murdered on it, right on the ranch. And this is one great big cover-up for 7 decades in my life. And Miss Baker has her own set of problems with her own family and with the government and the FBI and the police she's had to deal with. And I can see how it parallels my life.
Yeah, she says right here in her book that she's had to leave the country because of, you know, people making stupid threats, and some of these people are doing this here in the last 24 hours. So that's the kind of crap we don't want to see happen. I mean,
exactly.
Nobody should have to leave the country because of threats and liars and people putting her down, that kind of crap. That should not be happening.
Supposedly, we live in a free country under God. That's the way my family created this country in the Constitution. And I am related to the presidents like Gerald Ford, Jackson, and Jefferson. Those are my family members. So for people to threaten to hurt somebody with my videos in a free country, this is ridiculous. Miss Baker is an acquaintance of mine. I really know her. She really knows me. Jim Mars was her friend. Jim Mars was my friend. If I'm not mistaken, Greg, I've never read what Jim Mars wrote in that book you're reading. Have you gotten to that part yet?
It's the afterwards. He wrote a few pages at the end. So no, I have not read his comments there yet.
Well, I'm not asking you to do that now, but I've never read it myself. But I do know Jim Mars, and Jim Mars was researching the very things that you are researching now, Mr. Bo. And you believe in God. You went to a college to learn about God. You got your degree with your wife. You both went to the same college. You're still married. And our last intention is to have Miss Baker threatened because of my truth. Anybody doing that, you're completely out of line.
Right. Blaming the victims is always the wrong thing to do. It just doesn't make sense to do that.
No, not at all. Not at all. So I've decided I was silent for all these years, 7 decades. I've never written a book, and that's what I asked you to do, Greg. I'm not a writer, and you went to college, and you're a fairly decent writer. I think you're a genius because you take the time to research my documents and look into my life. I thank you for that.
Well, You know, it's an honor to do it. I want to know the real truth of what's going on in the world, and that goes for, you know, what you're saying, and also what Judyth Vary Baker's saying. I want to tell her truth. You know, what the best that someone knows it and says it. That's what we want to
Yeah, you're researching
express to
what
the
she
world.
has to say and comparing it to my documents, and you can see the parallels.
Sure.
And I can see the parallels, and I'm sure that Miss Baker can see some of the parallels, and Jim Mars could. That's why Jim Mars was looking into my history. There are people in my life and Miss Baker's life, like Jesse Ventura, who haven't been honest.
Sure.
They haven't been honest. That's not Judyth's fault. It's not my fault. When people start to tell lies, they develop these tangled webs, and then the truth doesn't get told. So I'm all about saying truth, and Miss Baker is all about saying truth.
And some of these people that were lying were people that you know to have been drug dealers for the government and CIA agents.
Yeah, I've had CIA and FBI lie to me on numerous occasions. If I call and report a kid transported across state lines dead, they hang up on me, act like I'm crazy or I don't exist, and I exist very much. And I don't say anything that isn't truth. I believe in God. I ran a ministry. I went to church to become a priest. I just didn't finish that vocation. It wasn't in my heart. That was my parents' wish for me, not mine. And I was interrupted by that because of a woman in my past related to the pedophiles in the FBI that kidnapped me. She married me so they could spy on me. And I don't think it, I know it.
Well, I believe in ultimate justice, Hugh, and I think that you know, at the end of the day, the pedophiles and the drug runners and the gun runners selling drugs across our nation's borders for drugs, and then selling the drugs to the little kids and raping the little kids as they do it. I think there's a terrible day coming for them, and I also think the people that blame the victims, there's a terrible consequence for them too that they should really consider.
Yeah, I agree. Now, let's end this video here, Greg. I think we've said enough.
I think so.
And this video isn't meant to hurt anyone, not even the people who kidnapped me and murdered the little kids in my life. I look for justice, and you know this, Greg.
Right.
I'm not about hiring hitmen or seeking revenge with a gun. I'm about seeking revenge in a courtroom and having truth come out. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, in my life,
lawful justice.
Yeah, unfortunately, in my life, the justice system in this country has been bought by the very people who murdered the Kennedys, and it's run by the people who murdered the Kennedys. So I never saw justice in my life, but that I'm going to spend the rest of my life seeking that justice.
Absolutely.
My last wife, well, she was in a wheelchair with muscular dystrophy when they murdered her. And those people, 9 Americans, got away scot-free, and they were hired by the Obama White House to do exactly that.
Yeah, and the government even had to let a criminal out of prison, and that criminal was his name Shovel? Did I get that right?
Yeah, one of those renegades got out of prison and set my wife's murder up. 3 states away, and he was let out of a jail cell by a Mr. Slater.
Yeah, and it's a federal, state, and local collaboration.
Yeah, and you know yourself, the Michigan government, they even lied on my Aunt Gardner's death certificate. And these are government workers who did this. Just like L. Brooks Patterson hid my kidnap in Oakland County all the way back in '57. I was kidnapped by the families of 5 governors. I mean, they covered it up. And then I remained silent until they killed my 4th wife, and I'm not going to remain silent anymore. I can't even have a life because they're covering up truth of who murdered your president. That's not my fault. I have my own life, and this government's supposed to work for me, not work for themselves. So I'm not going to stop saying my truth. But I believe what Miss Baker says because her truth fits right in with mine. And I really know her, and we talk. And as long as I'm alive, whenever Miss Baker wants to talk to me, I'm going to talk to her. And I hope that she does the same in regards my life.
Sure.
And don't use my videos to put down truth. I'm tired of being oppressed by a corrupt government. These people.
Yeah, don't help the corrupt government and the pedophiles. And I'm talking to whoever's listening to this video. Don't help the people who are out there killing and raping kids by putting down Baker and by putting down Hugh. Don't blame the victims. That makes you responsible a little bit as much as the people doing it.
That's correct, Greg. People like L. Brooks Patterson, who covered up those Oakland County child killings, he's just as guilty as the people who murdered those kids. And
Absolutely.
They did that to cover up the presidency. They
the murder of JFK.
Really murdered. They used Miss Baker and her boyfriend as patsies and covered up the real truth.
Right. And that's what we tried to say yesterday, that they're being used, and I get that. You know, that's didn't come out that way, but that was the intention.
Yeah, the government is using its American citizens, and they're not supposed to use us. They're supposed to serve us, and they forgot that somewhere along the way. I haven't.
Absolutely.
I haven't, and I'm not going to be quiet. And I've been the victim of attempted murder numerous times. I'm a man. I'm not leaving the country. And you know yourself, Greg. I have two people told me there's a hit out on my life in the past 2 years. You know, I don't care.
Oh yeah, I know. I've heard there.
Stop living my free life because other people are idiotic.
Right.
Because they want to steal, and they want to be your governors or your senators, or they want more money. It doesn't mean I have to be quiet, and it doesn't mean I have to run because you're evil people. I'm not running. I'm not going nowhere. I'm going to sit right here until somebody, and why doesn't Jesse Ventura, why doesn't he interview me instead of hiding me?
Exactly.
I don't take him to court and sue him for my trademark back. I don't care about money. I'm not trying to make it in the music business. I was already a worldwide publisher. If I want to make it in the music business, I can do it anytime I want. I'm not about making money. And I don't care to entertain people who murder little kids and 4 of my wives. I don't want to entertain you people. When I was young, starting out and didn't know what the world was about, I wanted to entertain you. I don't want to entertain anybody anymore. And you know this, Greg.
Yeah, I want people to really think about what they're doing. If they're putting down you or Miss Baker, they're actually helping the people that poisoned you, that hit you on the head with a hammer, that downed your airplane 10 years to the day after Elvis's murder. And we say murder because we understand that it was a murder. They're helping those people.
They're hiding real history is what they're doing.
Yeah, and they're hiding an amazing amount of history. They're helping the people that planned 9/11. They're helping the people that killed Kennedy and used them. You don't want to be in league with those people. It's time to find real truth and help change the world.
It's really sad, Greg, growing up and looking back. And I mean, this is a true statement, Greg. The mafia has helped me more than my own government. And I don't mean by killing people. I mean by just being there and feeding me after I was murdered. My own government didn't even do that. By listening to my truth when the government didn't. When all media hides me. The very mafia, they say put the mafia in jail. The mafia is my government, and I don't think it. I know it. The senators are the mafia, not my neighbors. And I hate saying those words because that's not how my ancestors designed this country to be. But I do know that's truth. They call people like Tony Tocco and Miller, my neighbors who went to church and kneeled on their knees and prayed next to me. They call them mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And the government that calls them mafia is worse than they're accusing, by far.
Infinitely worse. Just think about World War I when they sent all the doughboys out to fight World War I, and then while they're out there, they go pass an income tax and take all their property from them.
Yeah, while they were out dying in war fighting Hitler, they took their property for like $30, $70.
Yeah, World War I, not two, but yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's unreal. But they were still doing it in World War II. The income tax was still there, but that's when it started.
Thing in both wars, World War I and World War II.
Yeah.
Tank Arsenal is my family's farm in Centerline, Michigan. That was my family's homestead. It was taken away for $35 after they initiated a tax that never existed. Detroit, they had a 200-acre homestead there, my family, back in the early 1800s. Taken away for $35 so you could put up Rinky Chevrolet. I know who I am.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and this is all related to Kennedy too, and it goes all the way back to Lincoln. This is what they did, the income tax on April 15, on the day they killed Lincoln, the day that they killed everybody in the Titanic that could oppose the introduction of the income tax in the government. So, you know, this obviously all goes together. We don't want to be responsible for helping those people. We want to oppose them. We want them to not have power and control and manipulation over our lives.
That's correct. That's correct. And I know that the government more than likely listening to everything that I and Judyth talked about tonight, and so does Judyth. We know what's going on.
Hugh, I've heard them while I was talking to you, sitting there typing. And when we stop talking for a second, they'll type a few more keystrokes and then they'll stop. Then we'll start talking, they'll start typing again. We hear, you know, so I know that they're listening to you.
Yeah, well, I've known that all my life. The people, my family ran Ford Motor Company and Henry Ford's museum and Chrysler. And Lee Iacocca was my next door neighbor. When Ford put the first satellites up, I told people they were watching me from outer space, and everybody thought I was crazy. And now all of you are watched from outer space. I'm not so crazy now, am I?
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
It's not my fault. People never believe truth, and they don't. You can't you can hand people truth, and they think it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm well aware of that.
There's so little truth now.
Thank you for taking down the video we made yesterday. Just thank you. I mean, you didn't have to do that. I appreciate it. You, like me, we support Judyth Baker.
These videos are not monetized. We are not after money. We are after just telling people the truth.
Correct.
We're not the government that's taking your money. We're the people that want to tell you the truth at our own expense if we have to.
And it's real amazing that I am the Illuminati. I'm the family on all your money. I'm the Illuminati. I'm that all-seeing eye. For real, I am. And they tell you and everybody else in America, all over the globe, I want to kill everybody. And this is so far from the truth, it's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pathetic. I and Miss Baker, we disagree on a few things, like she doesn't like Bill Gates, and I know Bill Gates is a nice man. I know that Jeff Bezos, he covered up my life. My Nancy married Jeffrey, and Jeff Bezos became Amazon, and my family made the computers way before anybody had one. My family made Hal the talking computer. And I don't think this, I know these things. I lived it, and then I taught electronics myself. I had all my FCC licenses at 12 before cable TV existed. And then you got pedophiles like Assange and the Snow family. You know, they make your pornography in Van Nuys, California. They're your truthers, but me, the guy that has all the FCC licenses that the media hides using initials and call letters that mark my life since I was 12. And to me, it's a joke. This mafia-run government is a joke to me. It really is. I'm looking forward to the day when people don't steal my family's names so they can be a senator or a president. I'm tired of that. Anybody in my family very easily could have been your president, and Gerald Ford was. Gerald Ford is my family. His real name is not Ford.
Right, it's King.
And Gardner, that's correct.
Gardner.
And that's my family. So those of you who think I'm crazy or a liar, I'm not. You're just misinformed, and you've been brainwashed from birth by a mafia government. And I don't think it, I know it. They've been hiding me for 7 decades. And I'm not going to allow them to hide me anymore. That's why I'm making these videos. That's why you're writing my book. And I know that Miss Baker is telling the truth. Lee didn't kill Kennedy. I went to kindergarten class with Camille Sirhan. Sirhan didn't kill Bobby either.
Right.
I'm tired of the lies from the mafia government. And it's time that this government just started saying truth, and I'm not going to go away until they do. I'm going to keep saying truth. And you murdered Jim Mars as I was put in the hospital leaving Rand Paul's home when Rand Paul got sucker punched by an anesthesiologist. I mean, who's got a story like that, Greg? And then I was at Squire Boone in the hospital because I couldn't wake up for 2 weeks. And then the Paul family was my business manager at Bottom Line in 1960.
And you're just hitting the tip of the iceberg. You can go on like this for 4 or 5 hours, and I've heard you do it.
Little events in my life. And then I have people like Jesse Ventura hiding me. He's got a TV show. He wants the truth of Hoffa and Kennedy, but he doesn't interview me. Why? Say the truth. How hard is it to say the truth? I mean, it's the simplest thing in the world. Say truth.
It would change the world if people cared about that.
Yeah, if they would just say truth.
Yeah.
I don't
There'd be a whole lot less pedophiles out there, too.
All my American neighbors, you stole $2 trillion in entertainment contracts from me, murdered kids, murdered my wives, and I'm not looking for anything other than justice. You don't even have to pay me the money back. Can't any of you just say, and I'm talking about Indians, I'm talking about Chinese, I'm talking about black people, I'm talking about white people. None of you say truth. Indians are involved in my kidnapping. Indians are involved in Hoffa's disappearance. Indians are involved in putting me on a reservation Gordon Lightfoot was on, as my neighbors Cameron and Pratt died on the Edmund Fitzgerald, and my uncle, Admiral Byrd, was murdered on the day I was kidnapped.
And now we have Lightfoot as mayor of Chicago.
Right, and can't any of you just say truth? All of you are that ashamed of what you did to me and the little kids in my neighborhood so you could be governors and senators and presidents? You're afraid to say truth about a little kid you tortured and murdered? And the people that did that, you're 80 years old now. You want to die with that on your conscience? Why can't any of you just speak up and say the truth? You have to hide me with Anderson Cooper and Fox News and Dana. My murdered wife's daughter was Dana. Anderson who kidnapped and raped me. Cooper kidnapped and raped my daughter. Can't any of you say truth? It's real simple, you know. You hit your tongue on the back of your front teeth and you say truth. Please do that. It would solve a lot of the problems in this country that are going on right now. You have a major revolution going on right now. They're just not calling it that. And then the very slave traders that brought the black people here from Africa and Jamaica and other places, they're using my family name once again to be your vice president and president. And I'm sitting here and I'm the truth. Too bad.
And once again, the WWE helped them do it.
Yeah,
With
too bad. And the unions, the car unions, the very unions my family ran.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about Kamala Harris, the wrestler, you know, that just happened to die right as Kamala Harris was being chosen by Joe Biden.
This is all done by design, and they're all hiding my truth for 7 decades now. 7 decades, Greg. And the Indians say that speak with forked tongues. The Indians are worse than the white man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it, I know it. They won't even admit I exist. The Indians will not even admit I exist. I'll talk about a forked tongue.
Yeah.
And one of my wives who's still alive, her brother was in the Renegades. It's a biker club. None of them will say truth. And they hire out as hitmen.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid of you. I'm not going anywhere. Every time you murdered me, I come back, didn't I? You know, 12 times you murdered me. Here I am. I'm still sitting here saying truth 7 decades later. So don't use this video to hurt my acquaintances. You already murdered Jim Mars and Robin Williams, and then you give me BS stories. I was at Robin Williams' house when he died. I was with Jim Mars when he died. I'm tired of the BS. I was with Dr. O'Brien when he died. The Barr family running the Attorney General's office. I'm tired of the lies. And that goes for you too, Senator Graham. And Bolton. I built an airplane with Bob Bolton in Detroit, Michigan when I was a kid.
Yeah. O'Brien and Roseanne Barr, they came up with the MK Ultra story there, or I don't know if they invented it, but they used it, promoted it.
The Army has always tried to invent super soldiers, so some of the MK Ultra stuff is truth, but they're hiding me using that.
Sure. And then Graham's media there in WJR Radio Detroit, they're the ones that have that Emily Barr as their CEO, and you got Barr in the White House and Barr also from Detroit. They're all related, and they're all connected to Graham.
Then you got the policeman D'Angelo, and D'Angelo Pizza was next to Baker College on Hughes Street. I owned Hughes Street, and then they hired me with Pizzagate. Before that, they had me with QAnon. Before that, Anonymous hides me. I'm tired of being hidden by CIA operatives. I'm tired of it.
Right.
And none of you scare me, and I'm not going nowhere. And I've already told enough truth, and Greg's not the only author writing about me. There's a Harvard professor already made an audio book about me. People know I'm saying truth, so it's already too late for you to do anything to stop me. I planted all the seeds of truth, and all you people lying, you're going to have to live with it.
Mm-hmm. And all of you Facebook warriors that want to help them.
Slowly going to overtake them all, Greg. It's like a little Pac-Man in a Cubert game. It's going to slowly overtake all of them.
It will.
And I was putting out the Cubert games with the Gaming Commission all the way back in 1965. I'm tired of being hidden by things like QAnon and Qbert and
now you got Q in Star Trek and Hugh of Borg.
Yeah, and my family is Borg Warner. You know how ridiculous, and people can't put that together. And I don't exist, and you're out on lies. It's ridiculous. My entire news media is one great big lie. And I don't think it, I know it. I watch it and I laugh at it every day.
And all these, self-righteous little, I'm looking at one of them on my screen right now, Facebook warriors that really think that they know the truth, but they don't listen to the truth and won't hear the truth or try to put the pieces together. They're the problem. They're the reason the truth doesn't get out.
They think they know more than me, and the FBI kidnapped me at birth in 1953. And my family are presidents, and I'm on all your money. And you think you know more than this old 70-year-old man telling you truth, and you don't. You're all being misled, all of you. Julian
Right.
Assange is a pedophile. He ran away from his court case, and all of America made him their truther at WikiLeaks. So, geez, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's
WikiLeaks and
unbelievable.
Wikipedia. It's like a witchery. It's like they're, they're using that to lie to us. And again, it's the pedophiles doing it. He
Well,
actually had charges from Switzerland for pedophilia.
Greg, I went to school with Alex Jones. And then Alex Jones ran the newspaper where they covered up the murders of my 4 wives in Tennessee.
Yeah, you had 2 different Alex Joneses, and then all of a sudden they use a different.
And then Alex Jones in Texas used my family's chalk drawing. Cook and Gardner is my family. They used my family's chalk drawing to say.
Yeah, and it says Gardner right there on the picture.
This is to say 9/11 was an inside job, as they steal my trademark and pretend I don't exist.
Right.
And Ted Nugent from East Detroit helped them do it. And one of my murdered wives, her father was mayor of East Detroit. It's just a joke looking at you people lie.
And it was an inside job, but it wasn't the Illuminati like Alex Jones tried to say.
No, it was an inside job by people who stole my trademark and my name and kidnapped me and murdered little kids. That was the inside job.
There it is.
So I laugh at you. None of the big man on TV, or put a $500,000 in your back pocket, and Paolo like Ruby Ridge, that wrestler. What was his name? Valentino.
Valentino.
He gets 250 grand for killing a little kid and setting up my family member, Mr. Harris, to protect gay bars.
To protect gay bars, right? Always about the pedophiles.
That kidnapped me. So the FBI pays him to protect gay bars that kidnap.
Now, Hugh, I don't know if you know it, but every time you lift your hands, your voice leaves. The sound leaves.
No.
So, so when you were doing this, the sound left, and then when you, see, it's gone right now. I don't know how that's happening, but every time you lift your hands, the sound leaves.
All right. Well, I better stop lifting my hands.
Strange.
I'm wearing a wireless mic, so the signal's being interrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that could you understand the things I said?
Yeah, just except for when you did this. Whatever you said when you were doing
that is, and I want to post this video. So did I do it a whole lot?
No, you did it 3 times.
And do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I got the idea.
You think other people will?
I think so. Mm-hmm.
So isn't this interesting? I'm wearing a wireless mic, and when I...
Yeah, there it goes again, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an antenna. You know what's real funny, Greg, is people who wear aluminum foil hats to get rid of 5G and radiation.
Yeah.
Aluminum is an antenna.
That's
You're making antennas out of aluminum. So you're putting on an aluminum hat and it's attracting it.
It's soak it up, right?
Yeah. And I don't believe in all the 5G stories, but other people I know do. I don't, because I have FCC licenses, and I know that people like myself, if it was killing you, I wouldn't allow it on the market.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm the guy that has the FCC licenses. I should know.
Mm-hmm. And the electrical engineering background, from all your factory work, you know how it works. And
oh yeah, I definitely know how it works. Elon Musk has a car that works on batteries. I can give you a car that works on nothing. And I can, Greg. I'm not gonna, because you won't say my truth. If you say my truth, I'll go over to Ford Motor Company in the morning, and Chrysler's and General Motors, and I'll show you how to build an engine that it needs no battery, no gas.
There you go, Jesse Ventura. If you want to get really rich, there you go. They'll show you how to build a car. You go out and tell the truth.
It does need oil, and it's a very simple change on the assembly line that I built. I built the Dodge Shadow and a lot of the Chevy assembly lines, building robotic lines that built them without workers. I did that. Mm-hmm. Okay. I really know what I'm talking about. I could build you a car that needs no battery, needs no gasoline, it needs a few pints of oil, and not only will it drive you back and forth to work indefinitely. There's no mileage limit on it, but it will power your house when you bring it home and park it in the garage. It'll power your entire house. It's a generator itself.
I would think somebody'd really want to take you up on that offer, Hugh. Somebody needs to get the truth out there.
If the world tells the truth, of my truth of the Kennedy murders in the Oakland County, I will build that car. But I'm not going to do it as long as everybody's covering up murders of kids. I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And I would even do it with Elon Musk, and I don't even really like him. His very name, his mother gave him that name, calling me a gay man, and I'm not gay. I was kidnapped by gays and tortured and raped by gay men who were governors.
Your wife's sister, fiance sister, was on CoverGirl, where Elon Musk's mother took over after her.
Yeah, the cover of Maybelline magazine. And these people, they'll swear up and down I'm lying, but I'm not.
Sure.
I built electric motors my entire life. That was my first job. And I had all my FCC licenses, and I know how to build a car that needs no power source.
At 15 years old, yeah, you knew how to do how to build a lot of this at 15.
That's correct. That's correct. And I had NASA.
Well, we better stop it here. I'm running out of time, Hugh. So.
All right. I had NASA contracts all my life. And my uncle was Flayton. Mm-hmm. And people at NASA know that Flayton put the astronauts on the moon, and they know that Squier put the rovers on Mars. Whether they were making fun of me hiding my truth or not, it doesn't matter. Try saying truth, America. Truth. It's real simple. Truth. I'm your truth of Kennedy's murder. And Judyth Baker, my acquaintance, is not lying to you. Her story and mine, they parallel each other. It's just because you people hiding the truth, you want to threaten her or threaten me, you're foolish. You're throwing away what you could have. Imagine going home, driving to work in a car that doesn't need a battery or gas, and then it powers your home all night. That gets rid of 2 bills, don't it? And you're hiding me. That's unbelievable, Greg. You take care.
See you later.
Bye, my friend.